Thanks for tuning into the Whiskey River Wood Shop. So in this video, we're going to be making panel clamps. Clamping together panels is one of the struggles of anybody that does CNC type work, making signs, even very useful for making tabletops or shelves, or there's any number of reasons why you'd have to edge glue boards together. Panel clamps help because they apply pressure from 4 directions at the same time, keeping your board smooth. It's less cleanup afterwards. They're a real time saver. However, they're expensive. We're going to make some from scratch, and I picked up some hardware from the local hardware store, and let's talk about pricing a little bit. Let me show you this. So as you can see on the Jungle website, I found 2 of them that are all made out of metal. Now granted, we're going to be using some maple for the arms, which is plenty strong enough. A 2-pack is $180.49 for just 2 of them. And here we have just hardware kits. So you're providing your own wood to bolt it all together. $56.99. That's still a lot of money for 2 clamps. Now I know some woodworkers don't mind breaking the bank on clamps. I'm not one of them. I tend to buy cheap clamps and just make my way with it. But anyway, we're gonna make some homemade clamps today that are gonna do what these do. And we're gonna make 4 of them, and we're gonna do it on a budget. So for these clamps, I got the parts and pieces laid out. I got some 1/4 20 threaded rod, a piece of 5/8 aluminum bar stock, and we got some nuts, some wing nuts, some leg screws, and some washers. All the rest of it will be made out of maple. I got these 3 pieces of maple left over from a previous job. We're gonna cut them to length and then rip them down on the table saw. Start accounting for all the pieces that we need. Well, there's all our parts and pieces. Making 4 clamps, long boards. We got 1 for top, 1 for bottom for all 4. The little bitty pieces, these here, we got 8 of them, 1 for each end. And these arms we're going to need, what is it? We're going to need 4 of them on each end of each clamp. I got a lot of holes to drill. So I'm going to take some time and mark them all out. So I've adjusted my jig and more hole drilling, and so I can just line up my little lines on there and it puts the hole in the center. And repeat, I got 32 of them to drill. I'll show you a couple, but you don't want to sit through all this. So the next step in all our hole drilling, we got these little spacers and we got to drill a hole through the end, which is why I'm holding at the clamp. I got the wall set up for depth, so I'm going to kind of get it so it's flat. So I'll kind of push it in place, get the clamp on there, try to get it clamped flush to bottom, and then I hold the clamp down. And that way then I don't have my fingers in there, and if it grabs the thing and goes whirling or breaks or whatever, I'm just holding the clamp, not the piece of wood, because it can be a little jinky drilling holes through the middle of these, but yeah, we'll get through it. I got 16 of these to do. I did one in getting this set up, but anyway, I'll let you watch a couple of them and then we'll just get on to the next thing. So more hole drilling. Yeah, it never ends. The spacers are far smaller and I'm using a heavier clamp. I found this thing works better, as you saw it. I can get a hold of it a little better and I can clamp it tighter. So I'm just more holes through the middle and repeat. I got another 16 of these to do. So I got it set up for the next piece. These are the little blocks that will be on the ends that are going to push against the panel. And I need to drill a hole in the end on each side for a leg screw to go into. So the bit's a little smaller, so the teeth of a 1/4 inch leg screw fit in there, and drill down to about 7/8, which will leave me room for the center pin on half of them. I have 8 of these to make, 2 for each clamp, and yeah, it's more of the same. Rinse, repeat, drilling holes, you know. So on these clamps, the end piece will have a hole in the end, and one of these, if I can get it in the screen, there you go, one of those things will be put into the end, and that'll give something with this flat side for the rod to push against to tighten our clamp. So we have to drill a 5/16 hole for the center, and then we'll have to make some impressions with these points because we're using maple. It's a little hard to just drive them in, so we'll have to pre-drill the holes for those little spikes before we put it all in. So on 4 of these end blocks, we got to put a hole through the middle with a 5/16 bit. So the next step, to account for the little nails that are built onto these, which you can get these at any decent hardware store. I set them in there and knocked them with a hammer, gave them a tap so I could see where to drill holes. I can't get a 1/16 inch bit chucked up in the drill press, so they're clamped here, and I'm going to use a hand drill and just drill down to where the tape is. I put the tape on there so I knew how far down to go. Well, here it is with one of the clamps assembled. Lots of pieces. Would I do some things different? You betcha. I probably got, said and done after 3 trips to the hardware store, I probably got about $30 to $40 worth of hardware into this. There's a couple things I would definitely do different. But all in all, it works. The little crank works to loosen it up. The little block with the divot in it, I had to narrow it up because of the thickness of the sample piece I was using. But it serves the purpose to keep this straight. This is just some trash. And so you can see I added another block here because as you move it in, these get in the way of the piece. So I had to space it out a little bit. This threaded insert that I used, I'm not thrilled with it. Let me get the camera in there so you can kind of see what we're talking about here. That thing, right? Where to go? There it is. Okay. That thing there. It doesn't want to stay in its little divots in there. Now, once there's 4, where do we go? Oh yeah, there we go. It doesn't want to stay in its little divots. Once there's force on the machine, then yeah, it falls right back into its place, and there's, you know, no problems at all. However, it keeps popping out. So I have to find another solution for that at some point. The quarter 20 threaded rod works good for the handle part here that spins. It works good for all the cross members that are in there. I put quite a bit of stress on it with that scrap piece to test it out. It's plenty strong. The only place I'm having difficulty is as a clamping rod. I should probably go up to 3/8, which is significantly thicker. However, I gotta find a better way to get some threaded insert into that piece there, which I don't know. I'll take a look at the hardware store at some point in the future. As it is right now, here's one said and done, and it seems like it will function. So it'll apply force this way or that way and this way at the same time, keeping panels flat. I'll put an update in the future once I get the other 3 assembled, but I got too many other projects to work on right now. So this is just gonna have to wait a bit. But in the future, next time I'm clamping up a panel, I'll take some video of that once I got all 4 of them assembled, so everybody can see how they pan out. Anyway, thanks for watching, and tune back in. hit that like and subscribe button. It helps a little bit, especially, you know, when I only got 12 subscribers. So it makes a big difference. Thanks. Bye.